Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Basketball PH podcast, and we are back with our weekly episode with my two bro chachos. Welcome to our weekly head-to-head episode. Not so weekly in the past couple of weeks. At least we are back. The guys are back. Arik and D-Mac in the house. What is up, guys?
G'day, guys. Happy hump day.
Humping.
Everybody.
Are we are how did you enjoy the in-season tournament?
I actually did. Yeah, it's still going, but I've come on board. It looks awesome. It's really exciting. I like the knockout stages. It's super exciting. I like it. I hope it's here to stay.
It's exciting. I hope it's here to stay. But man, days without games are horrible. And
Yeah.
we had them at Sunday. We'll have another Sunday without games. And for me, Sunday is one of the best days for games because you have there at the early games, okay? And the games that are played noon in the States, in the United States, are the games that I see in the evening in Israel. So I have games at 10 and a half, okay, a.m., so p.m. So it's finally I get a game that I don't need to wake up in the middle of the night to see. So now they took it away. So sorry, I'm all aboard with the tournament, but man, give me games in Sunday.
That's it.
You know who's happy uh about resting and all? Those GMs who owns a lot of injured players, because they are kind of like really saving some time until their injured players comes back. Like for example, um Ant Simons, your boy, D-Mac, is about to play,
Mm.
possibly next coming days. Kelly Oubre will be playing tomorrow. Who else is coming back? I'm thinking. Well, there's some that was extended, like for example, Ben Simmons, just in case you own him, he's extended to be reevaluated in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, that's the reason why I kind of like posted a couple of days ago that it's going to be a little bit silent in the upcoming days. I think it's one of the best opportunity to strike and propose some trades because people doesn't have things to do, so they are just gonna look in their apps and their teams too hard and too long. You might even get something. Okay, so we are back to our usual a phase wherein we talk about several players. We talk about several players that could be added, dropped, held, or you can actually. It's a good time to buy them. It's a good time to sell them, and I would love to start with Arik and his boy Onyeka Okongwu. Arik, what's up with your boy?
Man, he looks so bad. He looks so bad. He's so disappointing, but I still have confidence. Listen, the thing is that he doesn't provide the blocks, the defensive stats he usually did. But uh, I'm very optimistic because of few reasons. First of all, I know he's a really good player. Okay, it's not like we've seen it in a small stretch. Okay, every time he got the opportunity and the minutes he provided. Last season and the season before he was ranked outside the 120. Okay, he played only 20.7 minutes, but in the games he started, he was a beast. Now, uh, as of now, because Dylan Johnson's injury, he's playing more and he's playing next to Capella as well. Okay, so I'm optimistic. In the last two games, he played 28.1 minutes and 27.1 minutes. He in those two games he didn't get a steal or a block. Okay, and Okungu is a player that derives a lot of his value from the defensive stats. So I'm still optimistic. His last game was against the Bucks was horrible. Only 5 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and he was one of three from the 3-point line. 3-point line. Yeah. So I'm still optimistic about him. I know a lot of people want to drop him. I think it's a mistake. I'm not hard for him like I did in the beginning of the season, but I really believe that he can turn things around. He's playing in a role right now, some of his minutes next to Capella, that he needs to get used to play. As a backup center, there a lot of players have stretches, okay? They don't. I will have another player that had a weak stretch. I'll talk about later, okay? But a lot of players that stretches in the defensive stat department. Some weeks that they don't block. A period of time that they almost don't block shots or steal the ball. Players that are used to do that. So I think at some point he'll turn it around and he'll get into a hot streak. Okay, I might be wrong here. Okay, I'm not advocating for him now as I did in the beginning of the season, but still, I think he's a clear hold and you need patience. In my app and in the Twitter, I said about Melton, hold him, please, hold him, be patient about the Anthony Melton. And the manager that were patient won big time, okay? Because Melton turned it around because there are some things that the stats regress to the mean, to the average. So as I see it, you need to hold. I'll understand if you dropped, but I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, actually, I received a query. I think just yesterday, someone in the page asked me, "Hey, Papi, would you trade Nasrid for Onyeka Kongo?" I told
Yes,
him,
yes, he asked me the same. He asked me the same in
"I asked
Twitter.
you the same."
Oh, maybe not the same person, but I got the same question.
Yeah, I'm still in the Onyeka Okongwu train, but I like what you mentioned. If because there are GMs who actually reach for a Kongu, so I would understand their frustration. Sometimes the emotion gets to you, but it's time to strike. They
I
are
think
being
I
impatient. You can actually get Onyeka Kongu very cheap.
I think patience is one of the key elements of a good fantasy player. Okay, the impatient ones drop players prematurely or not getting or selling low and never buy low. Okay, because they always waiting for the player to be good. But unless you're a superstar, you can't be good all of the time. That what differs the regular players and the superstar all-star players. A lot of players can have stretches that you think, whoa, man, this player is a star, but they don't maintain it for a long while. The good ones do. Okay, so it's not only correct about gameplay, it's correct about fantasy as well, about stats. Okay, you can, if a player is cold, there are players with the crazy cold streaks, again, like Melton, like Covington was, when he was a fantasy beast. I remember he started a month, he played a whole month with 29% from the field. You had to punt field goals to play him. Okay, he ruined the category, but the patient ones waited and he had this hot streak. Okay, so about Okungo, it's not, it's a little bit different because we're talking about blocks, but I can see a player that usually had great 36 minutes block excuse me, blocks per 36 minutes, great block numbers per 36 minutes for a few years, and now the blocks are gone. Okay, it doesn't seem logical to me, and that's all.
Yeah, and for this type of players, I guess it all boils down in uh initially understanding why are you drafting players, right? Because sometimes you're expecting a little bit different. you're not understanding that, hey, Clint Capella is still there. You're just focusing on the, oh, he's coming now, he's gonna play now. So that's the reason why some GMs are really kind of like being torn in dropping or trading for such players like Onyeka Okongwu. But then again, that's the reason why we're here. So we're gonna help you out. Try to tone down those emotions. You mentioned about players that are a little bit in the borderline of superstars, right? I guess this one you're gonna talk about, Arik, is one of them. All is already going in that direction to be a future superstar. J Dub, Jalen Williams. What do you have for us for Jalen Williams?
So Jalen Williams, although we all love Jalen Williams, he's been a bit disappointing. I think uh, most of us expected him to be ranked higher at this point of the season. Uh, he's now ranked only 91st per game according to Basketball Monster. Uh, and the thing I wanted to talk about to say is I really think is a very good buy low candidate. Okay, if you can buy low, because the only problem in his game right now, the only thing that different from the preseason projections is steals. Okay, I look at my projections for him at the beginning of the season, and the numbers are almost exactly the same. At some departments, they are even better than they was in my projections. And I had him at 58 per game. In the if we're talking about Z scores like the monster calculated. So I think the only thing the different is that he's got 0.8 steals, and he had last season he had 1.4 steals. I think he's going to turn it around, and I think at some point, just like Okongwu, is going to start stealing the ball a lot. Okay, having a lot of steals. What will bump is ranking higher. The only problem with buying him low now is that he's had two very impressive last games with 21 and 23 points, and he was very efficient and contributed in multiple areas. But still, I think you can. I view him as rest of season top 50 player maybe. Okay, so if you can get him for top 65, top 70 player, go ahead and do it fast.
I have a quick question for you and Daniel here. So I was just thinking, do you think Chet Holmgren, as good as the vendor as he is, has something to do with the defensive stats not being visible for J Dub, just because maybe it's about how they play now. Wherein, hey, I understand that there's someone that's gonna help out, like Shet, in comparison to last year, wherein he needs to lock people down because there's a hole in their in the low post. So I'm just thinking if it's a factor at least.
I'll tell you the truth. I think we have the tendency as human beings to try to explain things that sometimes are totally arbitrary. Okay, a lot of times I heard that things that people thought that there's a reason for some stat to be different, and then the stats regress to the mean and to the normal averages. So I don't see. Look, I can understand how playing, in Toronto last season was better for from a Steel's point of view, because Nurse, played with a lot of pressure. All the players pressured the ball, and all the players had a lot of steals. Okay, so that makes sense to me. But the presence of a center that doesn't steal the ball too much or something like that, I don't think this has a lot to do with the low steals of J-Dub, and you can see it because Shea steals the ball like crazy. Okay, so the presence of Chet doesn't hurt his steals. He steals the ball more than ever. He's the league leader with more than 2 steals a game. Last game he stole the ball 5 times. Okay, so I don't see Chet as someone. It's hard to me to think that he has influence on one player, a negative influence on one player and positive influence on other players' steals. I think it's arbitrary. I think he just didn't steal the ball for it's like you think it's already 20 games. It's a lot of games. No, stretches can be that long. I had Zach Levine 2 or 3 seasons ago. Okay, till the middle of the season he had 1.5 steals per game. Okay, then he had, I think, 10 or 12 games with only 1 steal in all of those games. Okay, so you have long stretches of players that doesn't steal the ball a lot, or doesn't block the ball. You need to be really specialist for us to believe that you are going to steal the ball a lot. Okay, it's so like Jimmy Butler, like Shea, like players that that will bring you the steals no matter what. Tybull, players that that it's their first strength. So about J-Dub, I don't think, and I think we're going to see him steal the ball a lot more now and the rest of and in the rest of the season.
And I also remember last season, speaking of stretches, last season, J-Dub eventually led the whole league in steals in the last couple of weeks, right? So,
Yeah,
it's
we can
come.
remember last season, the last 3 months. Okay, we can see J-Dub in the first 3 months and last 3 months. It I want to do that either because he was a rookie. Okay, so he started slowly and everything. So it's hard to judge that way. But we know that as a college player, he was good at steals as a freshman in the league, as a rookie in the league. He was good at steals. There's no reason, there's no apparent reason that he'll become a 0.8 steals per game player. Okay, I don't see it. And
And
again,
speak.
the other numbers are great, are just fine. Okay, he can shoot more from 3 point. He can do better there. But other than that, great percentages, the points, a little bit assists, gives everything from everything.
Speaking of another possible impact, let's talk about Tyrese Maxey. You have him on your list, and eventually Kelly Oubre is coming in. So I remember in the first couple of games that Kelly Oubre is playing with him, he's just averaging around 20s, right? So after that, when Kelly Oubre went down, there was that 50-point explosion, right? And then he was really hot. So what do you think about Tyrese Maxey, Arik?
I'll tell you what I think about him. First of all, the first games of the season, Maxi shot, he had 31 points and then 34 points in the first 2 games of the season. Okay, he was really good from the beginning. Okay, and my point about Maxi is this: a lot of times you have a player like this in the first round after 20 games, and you think, okay, I look at these numbers and it's not sustainable. Okay, so I'll treat him as a second round, but maybe even third round player. Okay, and about Maxi, I hope. No, I'm not jinxing him, but I see his numbers and I think that all of them are sustainable. Okay, I think the points are sustainable. He shot he has 27 points per game. Okay, I think it's sustainable. I think even if he'll take a hit in the points, it will be 1 point less, not something really different. The 3 pointers are sustainable. Is not, he doesn't have a lot of defensive stats. I think maybe the only thing that will go down a bit is the blocks, because he has 0.7 blocks per game. But other than that, the field goal percentages are logical, 46.4. It's not something special. And the free throw percentage, they can go down a bit. Okay, they might go down a bit, but we know that Maxi, the turnovers, we know from years before that he doesn't turn over the ball a lot. Okay, so it's not really different now, and I think he's ranked now 9th per game. Maybe I don't think he'll for sure will be ranked that high, but I don't see him ranked below 14th per game, something like that. I think he's a fourth round candidate, ROS, rest of season, just because again I don't see anything really strange about his stats.
Have a quick question. Who would you rather have, Tyrese Maxey or Scotty Barnes?
Tyrese Maxey, hands down, not a question.
How about you, D-Mac?
Yeah, I'll take Maxi as well. Just I think his game isn't as susceptible to some variances in statistics as well. So Scotty Barnes, a lot of it is predicated on a lot of defensive stats, and that's where his improvement has come from this season. He can still go through a lot of really down shooting nights, and we've seen that with his field goal percentage being in stages and in streaks being quite low and quite hurtful to your team. So I think Maxi's game is suited to all conditions, but yeah, less impactful for a lot of those variations.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Barnes, and I hope he will because I have him in one of my leagues, and I need his defensive stats, but I don't think he can maintain 1.8 steals and 1.3 blocks. 1.3 blocks, that's a lot. He didn't show it the years before. Okay, he gets better, he's a young player, but there's a limit to that as well. So Max's game, we know he's a good free throw percentage shooter. We know he can have the assist because he's the primary ball handler. He is a very competent shooter and scorer. So I don't see any of his stats, different, that need to be very different from what they are now. Okay, and Barnes is much riskier.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes actually is the number one positional, what I call this, adjustment player defensively in the recent ranking that I saw, wherein they actually gauge all players that defense point guard to center in the past 20 games. So possibly his activity is giving him opportunity to get those stats. And let's see if he can maintain that. It's hard to do that like for the whole
But
season. But yeah.
of course, if I'm panting free throws, I'll take Scotty. Okay, but this is the only reason preferring him.
Another one, another player that you have on the list that uh, has been up and down, but there's still some opportunity to really get him. Let's talk about Triple J.
Triple J, yeah, Triple J, another player that had a really strong game last one. Okay, so maybe I think the buy low window is still open. Okay, although he had a really good game because the game before he was really bad. Morant is going to be back soon. Okay, I think that from Triple J's point of view, it's a good thing. I don't think that handling a lot of having the weight of the offense on his shoulders is good for him as a stats contributor. Let's say. I think that if he had more energy to focus on defense, okay, he can have, he could have given us the blocks and the steals that we thought we could get and we're going to get from him. So less shots, I don't think it's bad for him, especially when they mean probably more quality shots. Okay, and higher field goal percentage, because the free throw and the field goals percentage killing his value, and the steals and the blocks. Okay, we're talking about Triple J. We're thinking about the blocks that is lacks now, but he lacks a lot of steals. You know, Triple J is a player that last 3 seasons wasn't down under 0.9 steals per game. He's got 0.6 steals right now. It's really low, you know. It's really low, and I expected him to have, you know, about the same amount of steals, because what's the difference? Why should why should the steals be affected by anything? So I think that Morant's return is going to make his field goal percentage better, and will help him, you know, take the load off his back, and he can be back at being more defensive minded and have more strength to be a to have the defensive impact that all of them Grizzlies don't have now. So I think he's going to be much better, and if you can buy him now at top 6 with a top 60, even top 50 players, I would do that.
For sure, and they are not really, but more of like they badly need this to happen. The Memphis Grizzlies is in the bottom of the standings. They really need to win. There's
Yeah, you know,
I was
it's
just
good.
about to say that there's a big incentive for them to really play well.
Yeah, and it's good that you mentioned it, okay? Because I wouldn't say those things if they didn't won the last 2 of the last 3 games. Why? Because, you know, there's a danger, okay? I didn't mention it, but there's some danger, okay, about having him, because if at some point they lose, or they think they will lose their chances to get into the playing tournament, okay, so it's a bad thing, because at some point he'll probably be shut down, okay? So there's some risk here. I'm not saying that there isn't, but, you know, Morant is going to be back, Smart is going to be back at some point, and they'll have a pretty decent team, you know. I don't see him, you know, as a weak team, okay? So they'll need really to try hard to lose. So I think that now there, I can say that 2 wins and a lose is a momentum, but they start to look a bit better, and with Morant getting back right around the corner, they can return to be a competitive team. Okay, so that's a good thing. Okay, so again, if you have a top 60, someone that offers you top 60 player for him, wants from you a top 60 player for him, go ahead and do it, even top 50.
Yeah, for sure. I actually pointed that a couple of days ago. I pointed out that that foul trouble actually gave us a couple of days more to buy low for Jaren Jackson. But yeah,
Yeah.
well, we talked about good defensive blocker. Let's move to D-Mac's list here. Let's talk about Walker Kessler, D-Mac.
Well, I think that's one of Arik's guys, actually.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's the last. That's my last guy, I think.
Go ahead, Arik.
Is the buy low window of Walker Kessler is still open? That's a question, because he's, you know, he looks much better, but still he's coming from the bench, and he's not really the monster that I thought he would be. So he only ranks 102nd season long, but, you know, in the last games it looks much better. But still, I think that Walker Kessler is going to be a monster, the same monster that I thought he would be. For example, the basketball monster Josh Lloyd have him per game ranked 68th rest of season, and Kyle has him 80th per season. I view him as a fourth rounder per game. Okay, I really, really, really believe in him. I think that he's going to, to start. He'll enter the starting five sooner rather than later. And the block numbers are already look good. The last 5 games, he has three per game. Okay, so he only needs, a few more minutes to have a lot more points, more rebounds. The field goal percentages uh, are going to improve, I think. Okay, so I think that you are still able to buy him low. Okay, I would pay for him generously. Okay, and that's what I'm trying to do in my leagues, by the way. I offered now a very low ball offer in one of my leagues, but I'm going to, continue trying until I'll get him.
I've been doing that as well. Actually, I was doing that when he was still injured, and nobody is budging because they always watch my Q&A. So I can't, I can't really do that. I guess in those leagues wherein I have
Yeah, it's
people also
probably
watching.
in my Israeli leagues, I can do anything, that different from what I'm saying, because in Israel, a lot of people hear me and have the app and everything, so I can't lie. But in international leagues, I, I can be freer.
For sure, for sure. And since we're talking about blocker, so I guess my intro to D-Mac will still stand. From Triple J to Walker Kessler, let's talk about Derek Lively.
Yeah, I was getting a lot of questions around whether they should hold or drop Derek Lively, and that wasn't all that long ago. And since then, he's been an absolute beast. And look, I may need to remind Arik of our matchup last week, but he was pivotal in me actually catching up. And he had that 7 block game, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But on top of the 7 block game, he had 20 points and 16 rebounds, which is awesome. He's never going to be a high usage guy. He's a rookie. His free throws aren't good. Um, but we know that he was always going to be a higher field goal percentage guy and decent with blocks. And now we're seeing it. He's got that solidified role. He plays better with Luka as well. And it's looking like there's some nice chemistry on that team. And he's by far the number one choice. Jason Kidd trusts him. He's just going to get better and better. So for all those that said he's a must drop, look, I think you would probably revert that. So he's definitely a must hold. And if anything, I think he's got a long way to go and even more improvement in his game.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you're actually watching the game, you can see a big difference in how the dynamics of the Dallas Mavericks with and without him. It's totally different. His activity is really something. His energy is really needed. The way he cats to the rim, the way he gets those offensive rebounds. I think he will definitely stick. But in contrary, I have actually mentioned to one of my Q&As during the times he got the 7 blocks and all. I was telling them, hey, you know what? If there's someone in your league that really loves blocks and wants Derek Lively as much as I love Lively, uh, why not flip him? Why not squeeze some juice from Derek Lively? Because I understand the upside. I understand how important his role is, but I also understand that there will be games that he won't really contribute that much. So given that he's still a rookie, so maybe it can be a situational sell high, but I will still hold with I will still hold Derek Lively just because of that gray area. For me, it's kind of like important personally in fantasy in understanding that gray area, because it's what if he holds that? What if he becomes the Walker Kessler of this year? Then you then you can actually win a league, right? So yeah.
And with those sentiments as well have been given by Jason Kidd as well. He's talked about the other centers and them not having the offensive punch. So someone like Dwight Powell just doesn't have that ability that seemingly Derek Lively does have, which is quite impressive for a rookie as well. But I'm similar camp to you, Papi. I reckon if he does have another couple of these games, let's look for someone that's more consistent and yeah, perhaps you could get a top 50 guy at this stage in a category league.
Yeah, when opportunity knocks, you have to really assess it. Speaking of
Yeah.
opportunity, let's talk about Kobe White. I really like Kobe White, so I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, last couple of weeks, absolutely awesome. Been close to a second round player in category leagues, and that has a little bit to do with Zach Levine being out. DeMar DeRozan has been out for a little bit as well. But people were talking about Kobe White as a bit of a stash. The Chicago Bulls are looking terrible. They will make some moves come trade deadline. So it's likely that one, if not two, maybe all three of the big three or the supposed big three of the Bulls could be gone by trade deadline. So depending on who comes back, he could be a massive winner. But right now, as it stands, he's a must-hold player. He's actually I think, a sell high. If someone believes that he's going to be a guy that benefits post-trade deadline, if you can get yourself a top 60, top 70 guy, highly unlikely. But if that does happen, let's throw out some offers to a Chicago Bulls fan. You do that straight away because last couple of weeks, yeah, as I said, close to a second round player, looked awesome.
Yeah, and one reason why I like Kobe White, because he wasn't even drafted in some of my leagues. You just picked him up. Worst case scenario, he's your last pick, right? So that's the reason why I like him, because the value that he's giving us right now, you're already in a conversation that you can trade him to a top 50 player. So again,
Mm,
like what D-Mac mentioned, take this opportunity, especially those gray area. Again, talking about those gray area, what if Zach Levine gets traded, DeMar DeRozan gets traded? People love those. People love speculating, right? So it should be part of your sales talk whenever you're trading. So again,
absolutely.
it's a matter of belief. Who believes more? So me personally, in my dynasty league, I'm holding on Kobe White just because in that specific league, I have the ability to put him in our D League or G League. So it's literally a stash that doesn't impact my my main roster. So totally fine to really stash. Um Next guy in your list is, oh, my boy, Wembanyama. A lot of talks about and hate about Wembanyama in the past couple of days. What's your take, D-Mac?
Yeah, I don't understand the hate. I know a lot of people are saying it's Chet Holmgren's Rookie of the Year season, but uh, Wembanyama was the number one category league player last week. Yes, it was only on 2 games. He skipped a game with supposed hip issue. People are saying that maybe that's something that we see more of down the stretch as well with the Spurs. Seemingly, their season's not really going anywhere at this stage. So, yeah, we could see that. So, this is a funny one. Is it someone that you would sell high on because of his good performances over the last few weeks? He's just his ranking is through the roof right now. Or is that someone that you think he could play 60 plus games, look for that Rookie of the Year title, see what the Spurs can do and build that chemistry moving into next season? They get a high draft pick and just continue building that chemistry. It's one of those ones where I'm just not too sure. I don't know if you do sell high or if it's someone you'd look to obtain in a trade. Um, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but it's a tricky one for me.
Yeah, me personally, I still believe that this year, this is like the experimental Greg Popovich year. This is, I personally think, based on what I read and based on in my some of the follows that I have, I still think that Pop is just giving them time to play, and adjust to their roles. Like for example, Jeremy Sohan playing the point, Wemby doing his thing, until Pop comes up with a formula or a system that fits this young team. So we'll see a lot of experimentation, which actually could impact players in the San Antonio Spurs, especially Wembanyama. But that impact is good for Wembanyama because he's gonna play what he does. He's gonna do what he's doing before in the non-pro. And I also think Chet being the number one rookie in the past couple of weeks will get to MB and give, possibly pushes him that, hey, I really need to win the rookie of the year, especially the what I call this, the history for the San Antonio Spurs. So me personally, though I'm biased, I'm taking it as a positive. I would still hold for Wemby, and I would also share that I think that's 2 weeks ago. If you own Wemby, you were just saved by Wemby's 6 steals and was that 4 blocks last day
Mm,
of the week. So
mm.
his ability to do that isn't something that you can get to other players, right? So I just think you have to value it, especially in head to heads.
I agree. He's just phenomenal when you do watch him. He's in those passing lanes and just those long limbs. He's Mystic Inspector Gadget, just unbelievable. He gets those steals, but also at the rim, he gets those blocks, as we all know. But yeah, he's awesome. Good perimeter defender as well, which is great to watch from a big man.
I just hope he gets more touches in fourth quarters.
Yeah, and not to mention his minutes. Maybe that they are just looking after him, knowing that they're not real contenders this season. 30 minutes a game, it's not at the high end for one of those elite players that you would have in fantasy, which is not the worst thing, looking after his health and his longevity.
Yeah, when I'm just bummed. Like, I love the San Antonio Spurs, but come on, Keldon, come on, Sohan. Fourth quarter, you did well in the past 3 quarters, and then you won't give Wemby the ball. It's just some things that they should learn. Speaking of learning, a team that actually learned a lot from previous season is the Orlando Magic, and then you have Franz Wagner for us. I love Franz. So, what's your take about Franz Wagner?
Yeah, he's on a heater right now. We always known of him as being a highly efficient shooter, not giving you much on the defensive end of the court, but always been a great shooter. But in the last couple of weeks, he's actually increased his output in terms of his points, but also his most impressive thing has been his aggression and getting to the rim. More free throw attempts has actually boosted his obviously his points, but also enabled him to flourish in terms of those free throw percentage. Always been around that 85%. So that's really boosted his value into a second round player, which for me, I wasn't as high on France just because I didn't think he could take that next step. But the aggression that he's shown quite recently has been superb.
Yeah, and I'm also realizing that he was really a value in the middle rounds.
Mm.
There are leagues that I was really looking at him just because in those leagues, usually I don't have good scorers to start off my draft, and I was always searching for a value, and I thought that, hey, Franz Wagner is a very good option here. So it's paying good uh for me for to those leagues, but I guess I'm just I personally am is puzzled. I'm still puzzled on the Orlando Magic because uh, who's the best player in the Orlando Magic, or am I looking it wrong that I think they're doing it like as like a team approach in terms of how why they are winning right now? Because Paolo Benquero is playing better than expected, um and they are still missing Michael Fultz. So I was just thinking, how would this pan out when everyone's healthy?
Yeah, I think Paolo Banchero is the 1A. In terms of fantasy, we don't value him as much, and we've talked about that before. But in real life, we know that Paolo Banchero is the 1A and Franz Wagner is the 1B. And it'll be interesting once Fultz does come back, but I wonder how that's going to impact the chemistry because they've looked quite awesome. Jalen Suggs has been brilliant. Great last round pick, if not a waiver wire pickup. So his defensive presence has been immense and has been helpful for the guys like Paolo and for France who don't necessarily get it done on the defensive end. But I don't know, whatever they're doing it well, and it's looking really impressive.
Yeah, they're and aside from winning, they are fun to watch. That's what I
Mm.
love about Orlando. They're, high tempo, and then they have a lot of youngsters. They play with some acts, especially Banquero. Everyone that plays against Banquero, for some reason, it seems like Banquero is angry to everybody. Whenever there's like an image or a video, yeah. So maybe that's the reason why people love him. It's the reason why people are actually, especially in the fantasy world, most people, especially the new ones, are really reaching to get Paulo Banquero, possibly because of those highlights.
And I think
Uh,
the aggression is something they probably haven't had since prime Dwight Howard as well. So I think going back to those so-called glory days, I think that's really good for the franchise as well. But yeah, well, Wendell Carter Jr. is actually due back as well. So just how the whole chemistry works out with those two guys coming back from injury, hopefully soon, it'll be very interesting to watch.
the last player that I remember that was this aggressive was Ryan Anderson. No, I was just joking. Rhino. Arik is smiling. You remember Rhino? Rhino is like
Um,
giving us like seven
Rhino.
snipes.
Rhino from out of Marshmallow, maybe. You know, Rhino supposed to be aggressive. Anderson, I don't think he knew what contact is. No, he was so soft.
Okay, speaking of no, this is a player that well, we have to talk about it. This next guy that D-Mac listed in his players to talk about, Jason Tatum. As early as now, some of the people that I have been chatting are really down in Jason Tatum. They're telling me that oh I thought he's gonna be a top 3 player. I thought he's going to be a top 2 player, and he isn't. So what's up with Jason Tatum?
His numbers haven't looked all too dissimilar to last season, but we know per game he wasn't going to be as high as some of these other guys that had higher risk. So KD, even Kyrie, and some of these other guys that pose higher risk. But we just know that he's a bit of an Iron Man. But let's not forget that there's been some blowouts. He's playing less. He got ejected early last week, I think in the third quarter as well. So some of the numbers just haven't looked impressive. But something that's been a little bit strange quite recently is free throw percentage has just sort of dipped a little
Exactly.
bit. I think, did he shoot 6 of 9 in the last game and didn't really help their cause in the in-season tournament either. But yeah, he's been a little bit off, but I don't think you worry. And if anything, it's a buy low opportunity, particularly for those that are real dedicated to looking at rankings and those types of things, looking at Basketball Monster and hashtag basketball and those types of things. If they're really looking at those numbers, then great opportunity, right? Um, if they have Tatum, they're looking at him as outside the top 100 in the last week or 2 weeks. Then yeah, let's strike. Let's throw out a top 40 player, a 30 player. Who knows what could happen?
Actually, the player in the Boston Celtics that they should have been kind of like bashing or hating or being disappointed is Jalen Brown. Because
Mm.
if you check Jalen Brown's output, yeah, the scoring is still decent, but I think Kristaps Porzingis for me is their two guy right now. What do you think?
Oh, I completely agree. And you look at the usage rate with Porzingis in the team, and then whilst Porzingis has been out of the team, Jalen Brown's quite clearly stepped up as well. So it's no coincidence whatsoever that KP's impacted Jalen Brown, and that's been shown in real life output, but as well as fantasy output.
There you go. Okay. So I guess it's my turn. Let me talk about non-stars because I love playing deep leagues. You're gonna hear a lot of random players here. Let me start off with who I call the new generation Wes Matthews, Prison Malik. So I've been there was several conversations in my Q&A that I was telling people that hey, uh Malik Beasley has been floating in the FAs. I think he should be owned just for his shooting. Treat him as a specialist. Uh, I was telling them that when I look at the Milwaukee Bucks, I think he'll definitely have a role there. Unfortunately, in the first couple of weeks, there were good. It's an up and down, but the minutes are there. Though there were, I think, 3 weeks wherein even the minutes went down. But I just think that Grayson Allen leaving, uh, Chris Middleton not yet 100%, and then there are several games that Giannis doesn't play, Dame doesn't play. Uh, if there's someone that really loves to score or shoot, especially from the outside, it's going to be Malik Beasley. So in deep leagues, is actually a good value. Is within the top 100 right now. He's not only giving you snipes. There were games he's giving us a lot of rebounds. Imagine that. I like Malik Beasley. I think you should hold him if you can sell him. Why not, right? But in deep
Mm.
leagues, I think you should be patient because there will be games. Maybe in the upcoming days, he'll have 30 minutes with just 5 points and nothing else, or maybe it's just two snipes. Because that's you have to understand the role, right? Sometimes you judge the player and then the fantasy outlook just because of purely the expectation, but you have to check your own expectation based on the roles, the minutes, the historical stats that this player gives. It's hard for a certain player to just change the way he plays, right? And we all know, even in the last season, despite not playing a lot in the Los Angeles Lakers, he's someone who really shoots the ball. Now he has a goal signal in the Milwaukee Bucks. I think he'll definitely help out in those specific stats. Um, Next one, we talk about Orlando. Cole Anthony. I mentioned earlier, Orlando is still missing Markel Fultz. Markel Fultz is already practicing with Wendell Carter Jr. I just think it's this is something that we already saw in the past season, wherein Markel Fultz comes in, uh, Cole Anthony loses the minutes, loses the usage. He doesn't provide value because, again, this is what Cole Anthony gives us. So with that said, I think it's a good sell. You have to really strike the hammer right now. I love what he brings to the table. I also understand that I've been telling people that I kind of like am iffy with Markel Fultz just because of the injuries and all. But well, Anthony's value is soaring. People is starting to look at Orlando Magic. You have to take advantage of those type of opportunities. So, almost similar stats with Kobe White, right? Of course, Kobe White is better, but if you check the scoring and all and the opportunity, so yeah, I'm encouraging uh people to sell Cole Anthony if you can. Uh, Next one, possibly one of the biggest buy low for me. Osar Thompson. Um, I, I I was hoping it sticks, but apparently it didn't stuck. Maybe Boyan is a there's this relationship with Monty Williams about shooting that he wants in every team he coaches, and I don't know. He's a rookie. He already showed his potential. I still believe Oscar Thompson, but Arik, what do you think about Oscar Thompson?
I'm afraid. I'm afraid about his minutes. I'm afraid about, I think he's a great for he is a great stash because at some point, they're going to give the minutes back to him, but I think they're losing. They wanted to lose, okay? They wanted another year to to tank, but I don't think there's a chance they wanted to look that bad, okay? I think that they wanted to see a progression, okay? And they're losing 15 straight games, okay? And now a vital part of their offense is back. We're talking, of course, about Bogdanovich. Okay, so I really think they're going to try to win, because even when they're really trying to win now, they can't. Okay, so they're really bad. So I think that they try to be better, and I think that Oscar Thompson is really still very raw as a player. Is a good defender. Okay, he has his flaws there as well. Because he's so raw. Okay, always trying to get the steal, the block. Okay, uh, 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 he needs to learn to play wiser. Okay, so I'm not sure that now he's going to get back the minutes. Okay, I wouldn't drop him at least in the next week or so to see what happens. But Papi, can you stash him now if he's playing 15 minutes a game and contributing nothing? Would you stash him? Even if you know that in 2 months he's going to be valuable. If you can, do it, okay? But if it hurts your chances to get into the playoffs, you need to think about it. So there's a lot of questions around him. I think the wait and see approach is the best here.
And a good point about them trying to look good, because that's actually specific for Monty Williams to look good, because he asked a lot of money from the Detroit Pistons and promised a lot of things. And I think I believe
They,
Arik that, yeah, go ahead.
they can't look that bad. They can't
Yeah,
continue looking that bad.
it's been what? It's been after the Drummond era, they've been worse. Right? So they have to do something about it. But again,
You know, you
you can
know
act
they
you
they,
can
they see. I'm sorry I'm interrupting again, but they see a club like the Magic, okay, that had the same trajectory as theirs. They had the same. They tanked. They got the first pick, and you see the Magic, you know, with their arrow forward, getting better and better, and they're stuck in the same place. And it's not like they didn't get good players. Duran is a solid center. Okay, so
Cade. It's a good guard.
Cade is disappointing. Okay, I thought that Cade would be much better. Okay, as a basketball player, as a fantasy player as well. But as a basketball player, I thought that at this point he would be a better player. Okay, so but even if he as good as he is right now, they need to start winning. It's a business. Everybody wants to win championships, okay, and be good and get to the playoffs. But you need to win for your audience as well. It's hard to be rooting for a team that only loses, and plays bad basketball. Okay, they have to look better.
Yeah,
I'm done.
and something that I was about to say is, they have to also showcase Oscar Thompson, tickets and all, someone that people would love to see. So again, I understand the trend being down, but I won't drop Oscar Thompson. I think he's a good buy low, in especially in deep leagues. I think his value is more. There's more weight in deep leagues. Quick question, D-Mac. If you agree on these, who would you offer for Oscar Thompson?
Mm. That's a tough one without looking at rosters and whatnot. But just to your guys' point earlier, I just don't think you can drop him because we've seen his upside. We know what he's made of. Great defensive player, gets you those out of position rebounds as well. And he does occasionally look and has those flashes on offense as well. But we just have to hold at this stage. So it's difficult to say who would I throw at him. But I guess if people are talking about and asking whether I should drop him, and that's the conversation that we're having right now, then why not throw your last couple worst guys off your team and throw out those offers as well? Because I think that they'll come to the realization that they need to start playing their young core. And he's part of the young core with Cade. I think they've got a lot of belief still in Jaden Ivey. They're still tinkering though. So Isaiah Stewart, I don't know why he keeps getting minutes because he's just not good enough. He's not a starting caliber player. Definitely not a starting caliber power forward. So Boyan's going to help and is going to space, which will be good for Cade and the rest of the team. But they're still tinkering with Killian Hayes and Marcus Sasser and even Alec Burke. So hopefully there's going to be some stability. So that should help Assad down the stretch. But like Arik mentioned, it could be a little bit of pain before it gets any better. But yeah, throw out your last couple of guys off your roster and see if you can acquire Assar because he's definitely not, in my opinion, worthy of being dropped.
I was a little bit disappointed to you, D-Mac and Ari, because none of you mentioned Kevin Knox as a potential player for Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, it was crazy there during 1 week where he was starting and he actually looked decent in a couple of games. It's like, surely not. Surely not.
Yeah.
D-Mac, I have a question. Really, what do you do? Okay, like I said, 2 weeks from now, Oscar Thompson plays 15 minutes a game, contributing almost nothing. Okay,
Mm.
and you see that it's starting to hurt your ranking in the league. You're starting to lose. You need this spot for streaming or something like that because it really hurts you. Okay, are you dropping? Not now. When you're starting to be convinced that in the next period of time he is not going to get meaningful minutes. Okay, what do you do? Drop
Again, it
or hold?
depends on where you are with your standings. If you're in a strong position and you can afford to hold, I'm holding. Because I think down that stretch towards the uh, playoff time in fantasy, I think he's going to be uh, beneficial for your team. It's just going to be a little bit of pain between now and then. But I can't see myself dropping. But if you are scrounging for victories, then perhaps it's more worthy of you having to stream that spot.
Exactly, and that's what I wanted to say because we say it every episode. There's now not right or wrong answer for everybody. Okay, it really depends on your team, on your standings, and you know it can be the right thing for you to drop and the wrong thing for me because of our standing, because of our position and everything. I have a lot of injured players, a lot of things to consider.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If it's a shallower league, I'll be more confident if I could drop him because it kind of like is a win-win for you if it's not doing something, someone picks him up, then and you go against him and he's still not doing something, then you can actually defeat your opponent. But technically, what I would do, I would wait for a GTD and then put him on IL plus. It's a legit stash. So at least it's not impacting you. Because I did that to Scoot Henderson in one of my deep leagues. Scoot was dropped. He was injured. Until now, he's already playing. I haven't activated Scoot Henderson. I need at least one or two more. But with Simons playing, luckily it's a deep league and I don't have like a worst player aside from him. I'm still stashing him in my IL plus, so I was happy that he was in a ING or GTD that day. So that for me that was a good stash. Before I move to my next slide, that's something that you can check out to your leagues as well, to the audience. If you have IL plus, you have to really be crafty in using those slots from time to time. Always check the FAs that has updates in terms of their statuses because you can actually stash them. Last point, last couple of players, it's just I'm just gonna do it in bundle. Um, I'm not suggesting that you do this, but I'm just reminding if you're someone who doesn't really believe that Zion Williamson, Yusuf Nurkic, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Anthony Davis, whoever it is, they've been playing well. And then since you don't believe they won't play the whole season, I'm just reminding you audience, whoever who owns these players, this is the best time for you to trade them. This is the best time for you to flip them for a more safe player. Uh, of course, there's a good chance that this is the day or this is the year that they'll be, completing the whole season. But there's also a good chance that that won't happen. So, if you want a safer route, I'm suggesting that again. This coming days now actually, if you're watching or listening to this is the best time for you to trade them because they are actually contributing a lot of uh good stats without actually getting those injury updates or getting out for the longest time. So
And
yeah.
that's particularly true for head to head. Let's say Roto, though,
Oh,
you've
for
got to
Roto
hold
it's
on to
different.
Kawhi. That's, yeah, completely different. But yeah, definitely for head to head.
For sure, for sure. So again, um, think about it. Think about this, the strategies, because it's all about really opportunities. There's a lot of information in the internet. There's a lot of NBA fantasy analysts. There are a lot of NBA analysts that are not fantasy, wherein you can learn, some news that they get from the insiders, from whatnot. You have to follow that, and then you have to actually utilize that and project on your own. That hey, you double check the opponents in the upcoming weeks. You double check your weakness and strengths. How would it benefit you if you trade a certain player? If you How would you handle an injury prone player that you drafted, even though they are already playing? So again, you don't rush and decide. I'm just reminding you that there's a lot of ways to be creative in fantasy. So again, double check your players, double check your belief as well. If you
Yeah,
believe,
but don't sell low because
yeah,
these
never.
guys are playing. These guys are playing back to backs now.
Exactly. And then they're actually thriving, despite those three-headed monster in LA Clippers. Those three are actually providing, I don't know, I think, are all of them top 50 players right now? I think they're
Yeah,
close,
definitely.
right?
Yeah,
They're
close to
they're
top
Yes,
playing
yes,
fifty.
pretty well.
yes.
Yeah, so you have to monitor that. That's some good opportunity. That's a good narrative in trading. I'll also be recording a specific episode for the art of trading, because there's a lot of ways in handling trades, and I love it. I love selling an idea because basically in trades for me, that's the fun I'm getting, selling an idea, selling a narrative. Okay, so before we end our session, let's share quickly some uh notable situations, notable updates in our leagues, especially you guys. You've been battling each other. So how are you in your leagues?
Well, who is going to start? Me or
Arik,
you,
I'll let you
D-Mac?
go. I'll let you go, Arik.
Okay, so I have 18 leagues, so it's kind of a lot. The international big ones is the LOFB ball and the World Cup. Okay, in the World Cup, I'm playing in the same division that D-Mac is playing, and we battled each other. And it seemed the last night of the week that I'm going to win, but looky look, we finished with a draw, okay? 4 wins each and one in the rebounds. We had the same amount of rebounds, but 2 days after, I've seen the table and I've seen that I'm under him in the standings, and we were the same. And I saw that stat correction took one rebound of my players, so D-Mac had won. So in the head-3-head department, D-Mac all owns me. Okay, so
Dominant
but
victory. Dominant victory
yeah.
by one rebound.
Yeah, but the interesting thing, I'm having a solid season. Meanwhile, the lowest standings in my head-to-head leagues is the standing in this league that I'm seventh, I think, or sixth. I'll 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 search now. In the LOFB ball. Yes, I'm sixth with another team. In I'm not lower than fifth in all of my head-to-head leagues. In the LOFB ball, I have a crazy team. I'm first in my division. I'm 10th overall. And in my other head-to-head leagues, I'm doing pretty well. Okay, they're not international, but still I'm serious league, money leagues, and I'm doing pretty well there. In all of them, I'm pretty confident I'm going to the playoffs because I'm again not ranked lower than fifth. And in my roto, well, I'm doing well as well. I only have one league that I'm beneath the average level teams, and ranked 11th from 12th in the roto leagues. The other leagues I'm doing just fine. It's a pretty good season. The only league I have Jordan Poole, I'm bad at. Okay, I took him in one league, and he's killing me. Yes, happily only one league. What about you, D-Mac?
Yeah, I've got Jordan Poole in one league in Locked On Fantasy, and that's a struggle. I'm seventh in that one. I'm fifth in the one that we are competing against for the FBI World Cup. I only have 4 leagues, to be honest. In my local keeper league, I'm equal fourth, so it's good to get Ant Simons back this week, which is nice. I still have Jalen Johnson on the pine, which is unfortunate, but I have Wemby in that one as my keeper. Obviously, I'll be keeping him. I've got Halliburton as well. I've been low key in love with Halliburton for quite some time. I was able to get Halliburton in this keeper whilst he was still at Sacramento, I think in the 60s. And so being able to carry that forward over these seasons, it's nice to have a first rounder and not cost me very much. So yeah, about middle of the standings in that one, and there's a Yahoo one, which I think I'm close to the top of the standings there. So doing pretty well in that one. That's quite a unique league in that they do assist to turnover ratio. So I got a lot of safe point guards in that league. So doing okay, doing all right. But yeah, a lot of room for improvement. But yeah, what about you, Papi?
Yeah, I would share a Tagalog meme word to the both of you. It's called sana all. It means I hope me too. Because when the fantasy gods rain shower to all injuries, I think all my 17 leagues have at least two in the past couple of weeks. So maybe it's the and I've been kind of like dodging during my drafts. I've been dodging several injury prone, but guess what? There's a lot of players that we were surprised that was injured. But though I'm not I think there's a couple, just two leagues wherein I'm a little bit in the bottom, number like bottom five, I guess. But other than that, I'm also almost all in the middle or in the top five. I'm just gonna because I have 17 leagues, so I'm just gonna share a couple of favorite leagues that I have. So of course the Rushmore, Invitational that we have. So I'm in the middle of the pack, but I was actually playing with several weeks with around only 8 active players or 9. So I was a little bit proud of it. And this was the pan points. As I think it was working, but it won't work if I don't have players, right? So, but
Mm.
it's nice. It's nice. I don't usually win like more than 6 in head to head in this type of what I call this build. But good enough. I actually had a 4-5 loss by just playing 8 active players. So I'm kind of like in this experimental build. I'm kind of like understanding why it works to some. But yeah, it was nice. Another one is in our Champions League. I think I'm second, but wow, I have a lot several in talking about injuries. I have Bam Adebayo and Zach Levine in the past couple of weeks. I fought in the some of the top, I think the top team or top three teams during that week. So I actually lost because of those two players being out. And then in my dynasty leagues, I was happy because so the other one I'm second. The other one also second, but imagine this lineup, guys. I faced against the first during a week wherein Halliburton was out. I have a Halliburton. Wemby was out in the last couple of days. I have Wembenyama. I also have Zach Levine, who was also out, and Joel Embiid, who was also out in several days. So imagine I was murder by numbers in this league. So but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna come strong because despite of that, I'm still third in this league. So yeah, I'm having fun. Oh, I would like to share my roto because I'm trying to learn more about trot. Haven't still in the middle of the league, but my Durian is back, so finally. I also got Horford, but unfortunately, Kristaps is what I call this is coming back. So I'm pretty sure I won't squeeze more from Horford. And majority of the teams that I am down are those teams that I have Lamelo Ball. So I think I have 4 Lamelo Balls who because I have to get them if they're beyond round 10 and all. So I'm not regretting it. I'm still hoping, but yeah, it's still fun. I'm still having fun. Love it. So yeah, so those are our shares. And then of course, would love you guys to promote your own thing. Let's start off with D-Mac. You've been busy with Kayla. You've been busy, always busy and always updated.
Absolutely. Yeah, pretty active between two hoops with Calafonte. So we do that every single week just to review the week that was and then preview the upcoming week. So that's been fun and that's a lot of a lot of good stuff with Kayla. So give us a follow, follow us on YouTube and of course on Twitter at NBA Fantasy Bible and at Kayla_Fonte. So she's doing really well. Pretty new to the scene and it's nice to have some fresh blood into the industry as well.
So, DMAC, I'm gonna propose this live in our recording. Yeah. So usually I do my live Q&A every Fridays. So hoping in the next upcoming Fridays. Um, I don't know if you already have a Facebook page for it, but I would like you both to host my weekly Q&A. But I would love you to use your own page so people would follow you, right? So you're using StreamYard. Let's do that. And then I'm just gonna jump in. And instead of doing the live Q&A on my page, let's use yours. You know, because you guys deserve some follows. So yeah, I'm just proposing it to you. We still have a lot of weeks. So let's do
It's
that in
interesting,
the
Puppy,
coming.
because I do have a Facebook page, but I think Facebook's shut me down. There may be
Really?
something in the name. Yeah, Fantasy Bible. Perhaps there's something in that name that's not conducive with Zuckerberg and co.
You've been sharing a lot of giddy for sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And that was well before that. It was well before that.
How about you, Arik? Speaking of busy and being updated, wow, day-to-day fantasy. It's like my alarm. It's always updating me, and I love it. So again, Arik, the table is yours. Promote your day-to-day fantasy. Promote your baby.
Well, okay, so you can follow us first of all at Twitter. I'm not alone. I'm with a partner, silent partner. No, it's not really silent, but he's just not
Compared to you,
joining me
maybe
here.
Charlotte.
Yeah. Compared to me, everybody are silent. Yeah. I'm very vocal. Yeah, I'm known to be a very vocal person. That's why
And we
I'm
love that.
good as a teacher. I'm teaching math, so I need to be vocal.
Me too.
Uh, so you can follow us day to day fantasy at Twitter, and we have our app, Day to Day Fantasy. You can have there. You can see the player advice. Add, drop, hold, weekly projections, ROS, rest of season projections, and another two features about team evaluation. So it's free. You can download it from your phone. It doesn't matter you have it on Apple or on how you call it,
Google,
Android.
Android.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
Android. Yeah. So go ahead, download it, and enjoy it.
There you go. There you go. These the two NBA fantasy analysts in front of you has a lot of solid content. So you're missing out if you're not following NBA Fantasy Bible and NBA Day to Day Fantasy. And for me, some
By the
little
way, I I,
yeah.
I
Go
have
ahead.
to say something that me and Daniel, us and Daniel, we have a lot of different content. So it's really good to follow both of us on Twitter. If you're following both of us, you get a broad picture because we share different things and different thoughts and different perspective, and it's really nice to see and have all that information.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we should promote stuff like this because we don't want you guys to just follow whatever we say, you know. We would rather have you create your own, absorb information and then create your own because we're doing that as well. And then for me to just add on the promotion side of the things, since in the Philippines I'm really promoting the fantasy basketball in the whole industry. So luckily for me, I already bagged a segment in the presidential AM radio station, so you can actually see a couple of minutes of Papi Roi in 918 kilohertz Radio Pilipinas Sports. So to all Pinoys out there, every Monday I'll be sharing some segments. I'm still toning it down in terms of how I discuss fantasy basketball because I don't want to overwhelm everyone so of the numbers and the terms and all. But it was fun. It's a good small step towards more fantasy in our country, and hopefully it goes at par with the international scene. So yeah, lots of things for us three. I hope you still love how we discuss and how we share our thoughts. The three brojachos in the house. Thank you so much, Arik. Thank you so much, D-Mac. Let's have a happy weekend. It was like what Arik mentioned earlier, a little bit silent and a little bit, low in terms of energy. But next week is going to be another week of fun. So, last tip from me, don't look ahead in the upcoming days, to be honest. The big days are all of the teams are almost playing. You know what, guys? Look ahead on week 8. So if you need to stash or you need to add something that plays on week 8. Possibly not in these coming weeks because I think there's a 90% assurance that in those big days in this week, all of your players are already playing, right? So why not prepare for week 8 instead? So just a thought, just a thought. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. See you again next week. Bye, Arik. Bye, Dimac. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
See
Yeah.
ya.